Go ahead.
Sarvam etatrutam manyam sorry. Sarvam etatrutam manye yan mam vadasi keshava nahi te bhagavan vyaktim vidur deva na danvaha. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality.
Okay. Next verse.
Swayam evatmanam avetta tvam purushottama buddha bhuta bhavana bhutesha deva deva jagatpate. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe.
Somebody else wants to read? 10:16. Janak Prabhu, want to take a stab?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
10.16. Vaktu maharsya sheshena divya yatma vibhutaya yabhirvi bhuti bhilor kani mastavam vyapya tishtasi. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds.
All right. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of recapitulation. So last week we discussed a lot about the questions posed by Arjuna. It's like to show special mercy. We're talking about pure devotees. We're talking about Krishna's talking about how he gives the intelligence by which we can understand him. And then lastly, Arjun is referring to all the great personalities who accept Krishna for his supremacy as the supreme personality of Godhead. So not just it's an emotional friend glorifying his friend, but he's referring to all the great sages like Narada, Sitadeva, Vyasa, who are confirming the truth that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And then we're moving on from there into Arjuna saying, "Oh Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality." So after all these questions, so chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 5, Arjun keeps asking Krishna, "I don't understand what you're saying. It's conflicting. You're giving me two kinds of answers. I don't get it. Krishna, I'm confused," right? Finally, in chapter 10, he comes to the conclusion that, I get it, right? And then he understands that not everybody can get it. He gets it because there is a mercy factor. It's not just effort. There's two things we should understand. In our devotional path, as we move along, there's our personal effort that we are putting in, and there's a mercy from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his representatives. And those two together give us the realizations. And through the realizations, we are able to understand the personality of Godhead as he is. Otherwise, he is unknowable. Krishna, one of his names is Adhokshaja, which means Adhoakshaja. He is beyond the mind and the senses, right? What you can see is beyond that. What you can hear, he is beyond that. What you can touch, he is beyond that. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is almost unknowable unless he empowers one to know him, right? And that empowerment is called realization, that aha moment. Oh, now I get it. Oh, this is what Krishna meant, what he said in the Bhagavad Gita. Now I understand why Prabhupada would say, oh, now I get it, what it means, like, I'm not this body, I'm spirit, soul. See, these aha moments are the realizations where our knowledge crystallizes and we realize, and then it becomes a part of our being, and we are able to apply it very confidently in our lives, right? And the confidence is that faith. The faith grows in Krishna because of the realization there is no more theory. I get it. I have experienced it, and it is reality. People can, put a gun to my head, and I still won't change from that reality because I don't have doubts anymore. So Arjuna, after asking a bunch of questions and going through all these verses on all these chapters, finally he comes to this conclusion. Not only Paramdhama, that Krishna is the best, he is supreme and all that, but the fact that Arjun has come to the point that you're the supreme and I accept everything, all the truth that you've given. And he comes to the conclusion also that neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Why is it so? Why is that the demons or the demigods, none of them can understand Krishna? Can anybody answer?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Is it because they have earned that title of possession, or is that what they did penance and everything for to reach the Swargalokas? And
You can't answer my question with a question.
okay, so my understanding is that they have a materialistic, goal that they wanted to attain, and they had attained it, and they're not able to see beyond that.
Okay.
The understanding.
Okay. Anybody else wants to give it a try? Why is it that demons and demigods cannot understand Krishna's personality?
Because due to lack of devotion, Krishna doesn't empower them.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I think because, like Yogesh Prabhu said, they had a materialistic aspect to them and they have attained it, and they're not in Golok. And Krishna's best devotees are with him, and these demigods are not with him. So that signifies that they have not attained the actual truth.
So then we have no hope?
No.
We are not in Goloka, and we have materialistic tendencies. So are we hopeless cases? If the demigods have no hope, then we definitely don't have any hope, right?
Yeah, true. Yes.
Is it?
But the demigods,
is it true? No. It's
no.
a trick question. Is it true?
Demigods will also have to come back to human birth to go back to Golok. So I feel we have more chances than them.
Ah, very good. Yes, that is actually true. So because one is in a position of power and privilege, sometimes it becomes difficult to become submissive and humble, right? There is a famous battle that was fought between Bali Maharaj and Indra. And Bali Maharaj fought with all his might and he was going to win, but Krishna came and sided with Indra. Was it Bali Maharaj or was it somebody else? I'm forgetting. It was a demon king who was a devotee, right? Like Prahlad Maharaj or Bali Maharaj. So demon king, but a devotee of Krishna. Yet Krishna sided with Indra because Indra is supposed to be the king of the demigod and he's supposed to rule over the heavenly realm. It's not supposed to be ruled by demons. So Krishna helped Indra win, and Indra was very happy. Finally. He couldn't have won on his own, but by Krishna's mercy, he won. But the devotee demon who died, he got liberation. He got back home, back to Godhead. So who really won, right? Indra won the battle, but this demon king, he won actually Krishna's lotus feet. So both are winners according to what they want. Vitrasura, thank you very much. Yes. So both are winners according to what they want. So one wants Goloka Vrindavan, one wants to enjoy heavenly pleasures. Right. So yes. So as a result of that, demigods tend to be more on the sattvic. They're still on the materialistic platform. And demons, though, they have all kinds of lust, greed, envy. There's nothing sattvic about them. They're all mode of ignorance. So neither demigods nor demons can understand. But we have that opportunity under the disciplic succession of pure devotees, right? Under their guidance, we can understand somewhat. And Krishna gives us little by little realizations through which we can understand. So we're following in Arjuna's footsteps. Those who are following in Arjuna's footsteps, those are following in Narad Muni's footsteps, like that. There's the Guru Shishya Parampara, and through that we are able to understand. So we have access to understanding it. All right. So this is a very important statement, that I totally accept the truth. So totally accepting. So Bhagavad Gita, sometimes we get confused and we are like, well, I accept this, but I don't accept that. But when one comes to clear realization, one is free of doubts and one fully accepts Krishna's words 100% without deviation. And then he says, indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O supreme person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of all gods, Lord of the universe, right? And then he says, please tell me in details of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. So now Arjun is being very kind to us, although he understands fully and he gets the full realization of who Krishna is. But for our education, Arjun is asking Krishna, my dear Krishna, if you so desire, please speak about your glories, right? And sometimes we also, that's our duty also. Like sometimes when we are with a guru or a sannyasi or somebody, they might not talk about their realizations. So it's our duty to kind of poke them, like, please, for the benefit of everybody, please share some of your hidden secret realizations that inspire you in your journey, right? So Arjun is doing that to Krishna. And then he continues. Somebody wants to read this verse, 10:17. Krishna?
Krishna, I have one question. So in verse 15, it's stated that Krishna, you can know yourself using your internal potency. But in few lectures ago, you had also mentioned that Krishna is ever expanding, that he doesn't even know about himself. So
there's truth and there is more truth. So is it possible Krishna doesn't know something? No, right?
No.
Is it possible Krishna doesn't know something? Yes. Both are true. Simultaneous oneness and difference.
Okay.
So does Krishna know himself? Yes. Does Krishna keep expanding and there's more to be known about himself? Yes.
Okay.
Duality exists within God. Somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, trick question. Is there a rock that is so heavy that Krishna can create? Is there a rock that Krishna can create that is so heavy that he cannot lift? Right? So it's very logical, and Prabhupada knows Krishna very, very well. So if he said Krishna cannot create, that means Krishna is limited. If he says Krishna can create it, but he cannot lift it, then also Krishna is limited. So Prabhupada gave the answer. He said, yes, Krishna can create a rock that he cannot lift and then lift it.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So he can create a rock that he cannot lift and then he can expand himself and lift it. So like that, Krishna is unknowable even to himself. He knows himself, but then there's always more to be known about him, even for him.
Okay.
Complex, but that's how God is. That's how he's not like us. We think playing the flute, herding the cows, dancing with the gopis, he's just like us, but he's not. This is how we know. Krishna Prabhu, please, 10:17. Does it help, Yogesh Prabhu? Does it answer your question?
Oh, yes. Yes, completely. Yes.
Okay, cool.
I'm just baffled.
Me too.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
10.17 Katham vidyam aham yogins tvam sadha parichintayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyo si bhagavan maya. Translation: O Krishna, O supreme mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O supreme personality of Godhead?
So here is again Arjun hinting at us that what Krishna is about to say is going to help us remember Krishna. Always remember Krishna, never forget him. And again, I'll repeat myself for the 100th time. How does chapter 9 end?
By remembering Krishna in different ways.
Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So always remembering Krishna, offering our obeisances to Krishna, right? Worshipping Krishna. That's how he's saying you can easily attain me. So here, this is the purpose of chapter 10, answering, thank you, Yogesh Prabhu, answering the last verse of chapter 9 is here it begins. So Arjuna is saying, O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you? And how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? Then he continues. Yes, Krishna, go ahead.
Yes, sir. 10.18 Vistarane mano yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuya kathaya triptirhi srinivato nasti me mritam. Translation: O Janardana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words.
Right. So again, a few verses back in chapter 10 itself, we learned that devotees love to gossip about Krishna. And from that, they feel extreme joy by gossiping about Krishna. Somebody remembers which verse that is? 10.9, I believe. Let's quickly go back to that verse. Machitta madgata prana. Yes. So here he says, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So in 18, Arjuna is exactly showcasing that quality. Right? O Janardana, again, please describe in details the mystic power of your opulence. I'm never satiated in hearing about you. For more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. And this is a symptom of growth. When we are in our Krishna consciousness wondering, am I growing or am I stuck? This is one litmus test that we can appreciate. That is my interest for hearing about Krishna growing, or is it dwindling? If it is growing, then I'm growing in Krishna consciousness. If it is dwindling and I find it boring, then definitely Maya has covered my consciousness. So this is one way. So because our worst enemy is within us, our mind, right? Uncontrolled mind. So it is hard for us to know, am I moving in the right direction or am I not? Right? So just like if you're in a matrix, it's difficult sometimes to figure out, am I in Maya? Am I in some reality? So we are in that matrix because our mind is always tricking us. The best kind of trick is, I'm the most humble devotee out there. Why does people not recognize it? Right? Or I'm so Krishna conscious. Oh my God, maybe I'm just after Narad Muni, or even better than him. So these are examples of pride, in fact. And that's definitely we are under Maya if you're thinking like that. So it is a litmus test. So am I really at the Narad Muni level, or am I still a struggling bhakta, or am I making good progress? And that comes from how intense is my desire to hear about Krishna. Is it exciting to me, or is it boring to me? And based on that, we can understand how advanced, how much we are advancing or how much we are stuck in our devotional journey, going forward or backward. So Arjuna is showcasing that aspect of being a pure devotee, where he's never satisfied hearing about Krishna. Like Rupa Goswami, when he writes this little poetry, he says, man, this word, Krishna, these two syllables, they're so nectarian that I wish I had millions of years and I have millions of tongues to chant the holy name and to hear with millions of years. Imagine his intensity of desire to hear the word Krishna, right? He's desiring. Now we can't appreciate because we are not at that level of Rupa Goswami still, but somebody wanting millions of tongues to chant the word, the two-syllabled word Krishna, and hear that word Krishna because it is so nectarian, right? So that's what it looks like to be a pure devotee. But when you are in jaundice, you cannot taste sugar, you cannot taste sweet things. It tastes bitter to us. And that's what our situation is. We are materially diseased, materially conditioned. So as a result, we are not able to taste that nectar of Krishna's holy name. So we don't desire for millions of years and tongues. We just desire for our 60 rounds to be over as soon as possible. If it's not 60 rounds, it's 2 rounds or whatever it is, right? So that's where we are. And that's not a way to put us down. It's just where we are. And we are moving in that direction of Rupa Goswami, right? But at least we can appreciate that that's where they are and they're guiding us. So, we are very fortunate to be under such amazing personalities. All right, moving on. Now, from 10:19, Krishna starts speaking. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Antate Kathaya Syami Divya hi Atma Vibhutaya Pradhanayata Kuru Shrestha Nasti Anto Vistarasya Me. The Supreme Personality of God had said, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. Love it. Krishna is not holding back. He's like, well, you want to hear my opulence? Well, they're limitless. I'm just going to tell you some of the significant ones, right? The prominent ones. And then he starts. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutasya Sthitaha Aham Adischa Madhyamcha Bhutanam Anta Evacha. I am the super solo Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. In this verse, Arjuna is addressed as Gudakesha, which means one who has conquered the darkness of sleep. For those who are sleeping in the darkness of ignorance, it is not possible to understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself in various ways in the material and spiritual worlds. Thus, he is addressing this. Thus, this address of Krishna by Krishna to Arjuna is significant. So the name with which Arjuna calls Krishna and the name with which Krishna calls Arjuna, there are meanings to these names. There's a particular reason why Krishna calls Arjuna in a certain way. Like if you're friends, one might say, hey, lazy bum, get up. Why are you still sleeping? Right? Sorry, pardon my language. Probably not appropriate in the Bhagavad Gita class, but that's what friends do, right? Why are you sleeping so late? Get up. And some other cases be like, God, you're like blind or something. Can't you see this? So we also refer to our friendly conversations to people depending on the circumstances. So now Krishna, who's singing Bhagavad Gita, right? The Gita, the song of God. So he's being very poetic about it. He's referring to him as Kaunteya, as Arjuna, as Dhananjaya. So in this case, he's saying Gudakesha. And Gudakesha means one who has conquered sleep. So one who has conquered ignorance of sleep, mode of ignorance. So such a person can understand Krishna as super soul, right? Now, you don't have to be sleepless. Or some of you might be thinking, oh, I don't sleep for a few days, and that's good. That makes me Gudakesha. That's not exactly the point here. I'm sure you can understand. So as super soul, I'm seated in the hearts of all living entities. I'm the beginning, I'm the middle, and the end. So Krishna first informs Arjuna that he is a soul of the entire cosmic manifestation by the dint of his primary expansion. Before the material creation, the Supreme Lord, by his plenary expansion, accepts the Purusha incarnation. From him, everything begins. Therefore, he is Atma, the soul of the Mahatattva, the universal elements. The total material energy is not the cause of the creation. Actually, the Mahavishnu enters into the Mahatattva. The total material energy. He is the soul. So those of you are slightly new, might be a little lost. So when creation happens, there is this soup, creation or ambrosial soup it's called, which is Mahatattva, which has 26 elements. And the sound Om reverberates, which is basically represents Krishna in his impersonal form. So that instigates the creation process. And in this creation process, then the elements subside. They start separating from each other, right? All the material elements. So earth, water, fire, air, ether, the ego, the mind, the intelligence, there is, and they combine in various proportions and ratios, and all kinds of different material things are created. And then Lord Brahma gives rise to, what's his name? Prajapati. And then he makes sure all the living entities, 8.4 million species of life, is manifested in all the different universal layers, etc. Very, very complicated thing I just summarized in 30 seconds. Point is, Krishna is saying, I'm the beginning, middle, and end, which means the beginning is instigated. The creation's beginning is instigated by Mahavishnu, where he enters as Karanadaksha Vishnu. In every universe, there are millions of universes. So that's the beginning, right? And then sustaining those universes, again, Vishnu in that particular universe is the soul of the universe and is maintaining that universe. So all the planets are moving in unison in proper order. And then at the end also, the Supreme Lord, he is, Antasesh, as his expansion, is burning up the entire universe, right? And creating the annihilation, where Lord Shiva does his Tandav dance and everything. So he is the beginning, he is in the middle, and he's the end, right? So not only he is in every living entity, he's saying, I'm the super solo Arjuna, seated in the heart of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings, right? The three Purusha avatars are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. They are also described in Narada Pancharatra, one of the Sattvata Tantras. So Vishnu, tu Trini Rupani Purushakyani Atho Viduhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests three features as Karanadakshayi Vishnu, Garvadakshayi Vishnu, and Shirodakshayi Vishnu in this material manifestation. So there's three Vishnus that are there. The Karanadakshayi Vishnu is lying in the Karana ocean, the ambrosial waters at the bottom of the universe, from which the lotus from his navel is going all the way up to the top of the universe, where Lord Brahma is sitting, right? And in between Karanadakshayi Vishnu and Lord Brahma, all the 14 planetary systems exist. So he is lying on the Karana water, or the causal water. Just like there's the baby fetus is inside the ambrosial fluid in the mother's womb. So it's kind of similar in that way. Then there is Garbhodak ocean. And then there is Shirodak ocean. The Shirodakshayi Vishnu is in the milk ocean. When the demigods need to meet with the Supreme Lord, that's where they go for their appointment. They ask Lord Brahma, hey, we are in trouble. Hiranyakashipu is bothering us, or Ravan is bothering us, or Kamsa is bothering us. Can you please tell the Supreme Lord to do something about it? So Lord Brahma goes with all the demigods to the Karana ocean, and Lord Brahma offers his prayers, and the Supreme Lord speaks to him in his mind from the Karana ocean. And the Lord Brahma says, Lord Narayan, or Lord Vishnu said this, Karanadakshayi Vishnu said this, he's going to now advent on planet Earth as Krishna, and so you guys have to take birth as his assistants. Or Lord Vishnu is going to advent on planet Earth as Lord Rama, and all you demigods have to take birth as the Vanaras and the monkeys and bears, right? So like that, multiple times this happens. They go, oh God, please help us. There is a Hiranyakashipu, or there is a Kamsa, or there is a Ravana, and then the Supreme Lord says, fine, I'll take, I'll advent on planet Earth, and you guys can come down with me to assist me in my Leela and pastimes and everything. So that's the personality of Godhead who's lying on the milk ocean, or Shiro Dakshayi Vishnu. Kshira as in Kheer, right? Kshira Dakshai Vishnu. Kshira. In this material manifestation. So Mahavishnu or Karana Dakshai Vishnu is described in the Brahma Samhita. Ya Karanar Nava Jale Bhajati Sama Yoga Nidram. The Supreme Lord Krishna, the cause of all causes, lies down in the cosmic ocean as Mahavishnu. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the beginning of this universe, the maintainer of the universal manifestations, and the end of all energy. So my apologies, I will correct myself. I said something wrong. Karana Dakshai Vishnu is Mahavishnu. From his pores, all the universes come. In that universe, at the bottom of the universe is lying Garbha Dakshai Vishnu in the Garbhodak ocean. From his navel comes out the lotus on which Lord Brahma sits, and all the manifestation of the 14 planetary systems are there. That is Garbha Dakshai Vishnu. And Kshira Dakshai Vishnu is on the milk ocean, which is somewhere there. Please don't ask me. It's in Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't have clarity on that. Okay. If you want to know, you can go on to Srimad Bhagavatam. The verses are given. All right. Text 10, verse 21. Somebody wants to read?
Roger, I'll go.
Go ahead.
Aditya Nam Aham Vishnur Jyoti Sam Ravir Amsuman Marichir Marutam Ashmi Nakshatranam Aham Sashi. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am the moon.
So Krishna now, he is going on that whole thing about he's the best among all the different categories of things. Among the Adityas, so there is Dvadas Aditya, there's 12 Adityas, he is Vishnu. Among the lights, he is the sun, which is the most radiant star in this entire, or radiant illuminated body in this entire universe. Among the Maruts, he is Marichi. And among the stars and the moon. Now, I have been attacked before on this particular verse because Krishna says among the stars I'm the moon. And they're like, Krishna is saying moon is a star? Moon is just reflecting the light of the sun. It is a satellite. Well, according to modern science, we categorize things in a particular way. According to the Vedic astronomy, we categorize things in a particular way. So according to Vedic astronomy, the moon is also a star. It's an illuminated body in the sky, and it is considered a star according to the Vedic astrology. So Krishna is saying of all the stars, I'm the moon. Because there's a song, right? Gopiya tare hai, chand hai radha. So that's where it comes from. It's actually Vedic aphorism, where all the stars are supposed to be illuminated objects, but the moon is the best of the stars. And Krishna is saying, I am the moon among the stars. It doesn't mean you start worshiping the moon. It just means that he is the best among all the different categories. There are 12 Adityas, of which Krishna is the principal. Among all the luminaries shining in the sky, the sun is the chief. And in the Brahma Samhita, the sun is accepted as the glowing eye of the Supreme Lord. The sun is empowered by Brahma Jyoti, right? So that's expansion of the Lord. So there are 50 varieties of wind blowing in the space. And one of these winds is controlling. And of these winds, the controlling deity, Marichi, represents Krishna. So these are representations of Krishna. All the best things represent Krishna. So when we see something, there's the best food, there's the best clothes, like, this is one of the splendors of Krishna. Any questions so far? Should I pause and see if there's any questions anybody wants to ask or any clarifications you need?
Hope this Marichi is not the one who is in the Ramayana.
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay.
But Krishna is saying, like he'll say, of all the archers, I'm Arjuna. So, so he's referring to all of these personalities as like he's represented. So whatever good we see is represented by Krishna. The best, not good, the best.
Prabhuji, what does Adityas mean?
I just know there are 12 Adityas. I don't know the details. Forgive me. Having said that, I'll just give you the detail I know. So when you go to Vrindavan at the Madan Mohan temple, there is this place called Dadas Aditya Tila, which is basically where Krishna, after fighting with Kaliya, he rested there. And because he was wet, the 12 Adityas came. So they're supposed to be like the sun. They're illuminated bodies, apparently. So they came to dry Krishna. So 12 Adityas, like think about halogen lights on you, right? Super hot. So Krishna is lying there wet. And so 12 Adityas come and they dry Krishna. That's all I know about the Adityas. I don't know anything more than that. Feel free to research and let me know what you find out.
If we take the scientific thing, actually, people say that there are now parallel worlds around. So in our previous Vedas, even they were represented. If sun is representing one parallel world and the other Aditya is representing the other world, so we have 12 parallel worlds. And
it's a dangerous thing to speculate. So there are universes. So there are parallel verses. So that's not the case. It's not like you are here and you're also in other universes. That's not the case. Having said that, there are multiple universes that exist, but they're not parallel verses as such. So one thing we should understand here is not try to take the Vedas and try to fit into science. Rather, take science and try to fit into Vedas, if at all. Because the Vedas are a much higher science, and the science we know is only 200 years of people observing and coming to understandings, from Earth was flat to Earth is round to everything else that we know today. Whereas the Vedas already knew the Earth was sphere, Brahmanda, and the universe, and beyond the universe, who started the universe. So it's a creator's perspective. So just a suggestion that we should not try to push the Vedas into what modern science says, rather the other way around. Understand the science from Vedic perspective. Okay. And also there is no room for speculation, as the answers are already there in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So if one wants to know about Adityas, go read the Bhagavatam. It is given in details. All right. Krishna says in text 22, Vedanam Samavedo Smi, Devanam Asmi Vasavaha, Indriyanam Manas Chashmi, Bhutanam Asmi Chetana. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force or consciousness. The difference between matter and spirit is a matter has no consciousness, like the living entity. Therefore, this consciousness is supreme and eternal. Consciousness cannot be produced by combination of matter. So Krishna is saying, so Krishna represents consciousness, because that represents soul, and soul is a part of super soul. So what differentiates us, a live person, from a dead person is the fact that we are conscious, and a dead thing is not conscious, right? And when the soul leaves the body, then this thing is also not conscious. This is as good as any table, chair, or whatever else. We say Mr. So-and-so passed away. So it is important to understand that that consciousness is what makes us divine. We say we are divine beings, right? What makes us divine is the fact that we are conscious, because that represents the soul. And the soul is directly a part of Krishna. Aham bija pradapitaha. Krishna says, I'm the seed-giving father. Mamai vamsa jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. You are mamai vamsa, your amsa, you're part of me, right? So the soul is a part of the supreme soul. And that is manifested through the consciousness, the fact that we are conscious. How do you understand your conscious? When an atheist challenges you, well, artificial intelligence is also conscious. You're not the only conscious thing. Siri is conscious. How do we know Siri is not conscious? Or Google, whatever the voice is called, is not conscious?
Told we try to figure out our reason of being, and artificial intelligence cannot do that. That's why we are conscious.
Okay, that's one answer. Anybody else wants to try?
Growing of hairs, nails. So like some in our bodies, few things like grow automatically, which like in other things can't happen, like growing of hairs.
Well, they will say crystals grow.
Sorry?
They will say crystals grow.
Okay.
I have been through these debates, so I know the other side of the answers too. Akshat Prabhu is saying, it works on commands. We don't work on commands. We reason and we question. Okay. Okay.
We have soul, and artificial intelligence or whatever do not have soul.
That's true. But then those who are atheists who believe in the mechanistic way of life, how do you explain this to them? Because they won't believe something that they cannot see. They cannot see the soul. So they'll be like, there is no soul. You're just a machine. It's chemical reaction happening. So how do we explain consciousness?
We can feel the things. We have senses.
Very good. That's the thing. We experience life. We experience joy. We experience feelings. And that's what separates us from everything else. Experience is not there in matter. Conscious beings experience. And that's why we cannot define, just like people say, show me God, and we're like, show me love. We know there is love, there is sadness, these are feelings, but you cannot see them. Similarly, consciousness cannot be seen, it's experienced. Love cannot be seen, it's experienced. Sadness cannot be seen, it's experienced. God is also experienced. God can be seen, but only when he wants to show himself. But otherwise, for us, God can be experienced, right? That's how only conscious beings can be theistic. Does it make sense? Does anybody want to challenge and have a little debate? Feel free. Oh, you guys are too good.
But why to challenge? We are not atheists. We believe in God.
So yeah. Atheists are fun. When atheists are in the room, I always feel excited that I could have a little bit of,
But it will not come to our mind only because we are not thinking like that.
True that. That's why I said you guys are too good. Okay, 1023. Somebody wants to read? Rudranam Shankaras Chashmi Vittesho Yaksha Rakshasam Vasunam Pavakas Chashmi Meru Sikharanam Aham. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of Vasus, I am fire. And of mountains, I am Meru. So Mount Meru is supposed to be the highest mountain. So here there are 11 Rudras, of whom Shankara or Lord Shiva is the predominant. Just like we said 12 Adityas. So there are like that 12 Rudras, of which 11 of the Rudras, and then Lord Shiva is the predominator of them. And Krishna is saying, of the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. He is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord in charge of the mode of ignorance in the universe. So Lord Shiva is in charge of mode of ignorance. Doesn't mean he is under mode of ignorance. He is just in charge of Tamaguna. So that's why he is in Shamshan. He is having ashes. He's drinking certain beverages. His followers and ghosts and goblins, right? So because he is the master, or he's in charge of the mode of ignorance. He's very kind He's allowing the people in the mode of ignorance to also uplift themselves and go up in the ranks to mode of passion, to mode of goodness, to sattva, complete Shuddha sattva. And Lord Shiva, if you see, he also takes on that the poison in his neck, things that nobody will touch, all the dirty things. Lord Shiva very happily does it as a service. So Lord of the Yakshas and the Rakshasas is Kuvera, the master treasurer of the demigods. And he is representation of the Supreme Lord. Meru is a mountain famed for its rich natural resources. So of all the mountains, Krishna is Mount Meru. Great details are given about Mount Meru in Srimad Bhagavatam. When you understand the structure of the universe, Mount Meru can be understood there. I'm not going in that direction. It's out of syllabus. 10:24. Somebody wants to read? If I say somebody wants to read, nobody will read. I'll just have to name you guys, right? Let's see who's there. Indranath, go ahead.
Yes, 10.24 Purudasham cha mukhyam mam viddhi partha brahbrashpatim shina ni nam aham shakanda sharasham ashmi shagara. Translation: O priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief Brahaspati of generals. I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water I am the ocean.
Thank you. So again, in all categories Krishna is giving. Of priests, he is Brahaspati. Brahaspati is Jupiter, who's the guru of all the demigods, right? And who's the guru of all the demons? Anybody remembers?
Shukracharya.
Correct.
Venus.
Shukracharya is the guru of all the demons. And Shukracharya told Bali Maharaj, Vishnu is coming. Do not give him what he wants, right? And Bali Maharaj is like, sorry, he's Vishnu. If he's Vishnu, I'm going to give him what he wants. So Shukracharya is of the demons, and Brihaspati is the guru of all the demigods. And our Indra got in trouble because he ignored Brihaspati's instruction. Brihaspati had offered Indra a garland that was from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Indra just ignored it, and Airavarta, Indra's elephant, trampled on it and insulted. And Brihaspati said, this is very bad. This is not, you're not going to be king for too long if you're in that kind of arrogance. And very quickly he was replaced by Bali Maharaj. He was attacked and he was in hiding. And that's when came Vaman Dev, and then re-established Indra as the king of heaven. So Indra keeps going and slipping into these kinds of episodes. Do not judge Indra. He is a very great person, but he is a great representation that power, money, and things like that, how it can kind of make us a little bit illusioned. Even though he's Indra, the king of the demigods, even him, he gets in lots and lots of trouble, and Krishna keeps coming back to fix it for him. All right. Of the generals, I'm Kartikeya, and of the bodies of water, I'm the ocean. Then 10:25. Arvind, want to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Maharshinam Bhrugur Aham Kiram Asmi Ekam Aksharam Yajnanam Japa Yajnosmi Sihavaranam Himalaya. Of the greatest sages, I am Bhrugu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental
Om.
Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy name Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas.
Great. So he says of the sages, he is Bhrigu Muni. Of the vibrations, so there's sound everywhere, right? But of all the vibrations, Krishna is saying, I am Om. And Om here is represented as Pranava. That's what is referred to as Om. And then he says of the sacrifices. So there are fire sacrifices, right? A lot of times people are like, how is Harinam Yagya the highest sacrifice? There is no ghee, there is no fire. And here Krishna says of all the sacrifices, the highest form is chanting of the holy name or japa. Please remember this. When people challenge you, you can always answer, of the sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy name. So why is sacrifices important? From chapter 3, what do we know? What comes from sacrifices?
Forgiveness.
Rain.
Thank you. So
Grains to grains.
correct. Keep going.
And grains to sacrifices again. And the
Correct.
cycle continues.
Correct. So sacrifices or yagya. The purpose of yagya in chapter 3, Krishna describes is from sacrifices. When you do fire sacrifice or any kind of sacrifice, rains come, because that's how you're offering oblations to the higher authorities. From rains comes grains, and grains again go in the sacrifice, and like that it continues. Now Krishna says of all the sacrifices, the best kind of sacrifice is chanting of the holy name. Now Srila Prabhupada once, as he was speaking this in Hyderabad, in fact, of all places, there was a drought for I think 3 years or something like that in Hyderabad. And Prabhupada said, chanting of the holy name, and there will be rain. So, and devotees did that, and there was rain. And the same thing Tamal Krishna Maharaj did in Spain, where there was a drought in a certain part of Spain. And he publicly announced that, this is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. And there was a press media person who challenged him. Then why don't you start chanting tomorrow and let's see if the rains come? And it wasn't coming, it wasn't coming, it wasn't coming. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj had his full faith, and he kept on going for hours doing holy name chanting on the streets of that particular place. And the people were like laughing at him, and eventually even the devotees were like, Maharaj, let's go. I don't think it's going to happen. You're going to just make a fool of yourself. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, Krishna said it, it's bound to happen. And he kept on chanting, and the sky practically cracked open, and it was torrential rainfall for the next few days. And the newspapers mentioned the Hare Krishnas, something. And even if you read the diaries of Indra Maharaj, it's called the Diaries of a Traveling Monk. There also he has mentioned multiple instances where this happened, where by chanting of the holy name, rain. So holy name, chanting of the holy name is the biggest form of yagya or sacrifice. And as Krishna says in chapter 3, from yagya comes rains, and from rains come grains. And that's how the cycle continues. So it is actually a great service to humanity when you're chanting the holy name of Krishna, because by that process, we are continuing the cycle of sacrifice. And the Srimad Bhagavatam describes that as Kali Yuga progresses and sacrifices become less, and people's, devotees are eradicated, right? There is going to be droughts. There is going to be no sugar. There's going to be no more grains. There's going to be no more these things. So it's going to be meat. People are going to just eat each other. They're going to eat animals. They're going to eat their own babies. Bhagavatam, 11th canto, describes the darkness of Kali Yuga beyond the first 10,000 years of the golden period that we have, thanks to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But beyond that, that's how Kali Yuga is going to be, because the chanting of the holy name and sacrifices won't be there. So there is not going to be a lot of food stuff like grains and beans and things like that. So please chant Krishna's holy name, and let's come back to Godhead before that time comes. And at the end of Kali Yuga, of course, Kalki comes, and there is no more talk, no more Bhagavad Gita. It's just slicing throats, and you're done. Yes, Aparna, go ahead. Please unmute and ask.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Avelo sir. Thank you so much. So this is my first session, so I might be asking a silly question, but I just wanted to, after attending this session, right? So what I get to know is that Krishna is supreme personality, right? So a creature, right, or a soul who is immersed or following Krishna consciousness. How can someone be preventing one to have the pride, right? Because when we know, okay, we are backed up by someone who is so supreme, who is so powerful, isn't it having that the pride. Okay, whatever, Krishna will take care. Like how that feeling comes in, because this is my very first session, so I am not sure, whether this is covered.
You don't have
right.
to be sure,
Yeah.
Aparna. You can ask anything you want.
Okay.
There's no silly question. It's actually a very good question. And this happened to Srimati Radharani. So as Krishna was having his rasa dance, all the gopis, they were so happy. And then Krishna picked up Srimati Radharani. And of all the gopis, Radharani was picked up and she was on Krishna's hands. And she was thinking, oh, I'm the most fortunate girl in this entire universe. And as soon as she thought like that, Krishna vanished and Radharani fell on the ground. And then she's like, Krishna, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And she was looking everywhere for Krishna. So a little bit of pride, even for Radharani, and Krishna's gone. So why not to be proud? Because as soon as we are proud, then we lose Krishna. So Krishna's nature is, he is attracted by humility and is repelled by pride. So if we are thinking, oh, we are backed by Krishna, now we can do whatever we want, that is the way to lose Krishna. So, and the way to gain Krishna's mercy is to always be humble and like, my dear Krishna, if you so desire, please maintain me, please protect me. I'll tell a Prabhupada story just to explain this a little further. So one day Srila Prabhupada in the morning Bhagavatam class, he gave multiple times he mentioned that pure devotee never falls down, pure devotee never falls down, pure devotee never falls down. And then in the evening, Prabhupada was in front of Radha and Krishna and he was praying with tears in his eyes. And a devotee was watching Srila Prabhupada. What is Prabhupada praying? And then he asked Prabhupada, what were you praying to Radha Krishna? He said, I was praying to the Lord that I don't fall down. And he said, but you said in the Bhagavatam class that pure devotee never falls down and you're a pure devotee of the Lord. And he said, yes, and that's why pure devotee never falls down. Because he's always humbly praying to Krishna, my dear Krishna, please don't let me fall down. Please maintain me. Please sustain me. Right? So that mood of humility is what protects us from falling away from Krishna's lap. Right? So you want to be in Krishna's lap, better not be proud. Better be humble. Does that answer your question, Aparna?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Most welcome. Okay, there's another question. Akshat is asking, is it true that 21 generations above and 21 generations below gets liberated was given by Narasimhadev to Prahlad Maharaj? Yes. If you become a pure devotee, 21 generations above and below go back to Godhead or get liberated. If you're not a pure devotee, at least 7 generations above and below get benefited. So regardless, very, very fortunate for those who have devotees in their family. All right, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a good night.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.